Welcome. Hello. This is Facebook Live for Volunteers of America. My name is Christy Holderiger. Thank you so much for joining us. We have Leo McFarland, our President and CEO, with us today to give you a little bit of update about Volunteers of America, both pre-COVID-19 and what we're facing today and how we're responding to our clients in all of our programs. So wanted to introduce you to Leo in just a second, but want to also make sure that you're aware you could type in any questions that you have for Leo in our comment section, and we'll provide those to Leo so he can answer those. We're planning on only being on live for 15 to 20 minutes, depending on how many questions are. We'll gauge that. But thank you again for joining us, and this is Leo McFarland.
Good morning, everybody. Well, it's actually noontime now, so good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today. And before I get started, I just want to make sure that as we talk about what's going on in the Volunteers of America world, that hopefully with all of your families, you were all safe and taking all the precautions necessary, that from a standpoint of dealing with the crisis that's challenging the entire country, that you're safe and you're getting the support that all of you need. So just know that Volunteers of America is here for you if you find that you are struggling and need assistance in other areas. We are currently doing business as usual. 99% of what we do is essential services in the community. So all of our programs, all of our shelter programs, our transitional housing, our permanent housing, all the programs we do, working with pregnant mothers, veterans, kids aging out of foster care, we're still doing it. And I can't tell you how proud I am of all of the folks, all of the staff who are working in these communities, making sure that they aren't experiencing that significant life. These are the people who are essential service workers, and they are showing up to work every day, every swing shift, every graveyard shift. And they are working hard on behalf of all of our guests and all of our programs. We're serving over 4,000 people every single day in our programs in Northern California and Northern Nevada. And we're very proud that because of the work we're doing, we're seeing that there has been minimal effects of COVID-19 on our guest population. And by that, I really mean we're testing folks. We're testing our residents, we're testing our guests at our shelter programs, and remarkably, we've dodged that horrible bullet of not seeing an infection circulate through our programs, because we're doing creative things. We're making sure that we are providing quarantine space if somebody is exhibiting any sort of illnesses at all. They're being tested. In fact, one of our programs just last week, a 100-bed shelter program in downtown Sacramento, we had 100% participation, and every guest at that shelter was tested, and every single one of them came back negative, not positive, negative. And so it's because of the precautions we're putting in place that all of these programs that you know that the staff are being protected, the clients and guests are being protected, and that's our number one goal. Now, this is life right now in the COVID-19 era. Before that, we didn't quite think about the potential risk factors of a pandemic like this in our population. But with our training, the data that we're bringing down from the federal government about how to best prepare and serve this population, we're implementing all of this. And of course, it comes with a cost. You can't imagine all the supplies. We're going through more hand sanitizers and masks and gowns and gloves than you can imagine, but we're cleaning down everything repeatedly. And that's one of our challenges today. And I'll be taking your questions shortly, but know that what I'm working hard on and my team are working hard on is making sure that at the end of this fiscal year, which is just a couple months away, that we've raised the kind of resources necessary to support what we're doing. We're feeding homebound seniors who now can't go out to grocery stores for fear of being infected. So we're making sure we're bringing food into them. We're making sure that we're expending dollars in the areas of service that are protecting people from this COVID activity. I know that we've got a target of another $900,000 of our gap that we're trying to raise this year. So I want you to keep that in the back of your mind, that Volunteers of America is still working hard to support what we're doing, but it has taken a big toll on us as an organization to do this. Again, a $900,000 gap is our target for the next 2 months, and we appreciate any support. If any of you out there are supporters of us right now, we're putting your money to good use. Today, I understand we're going to take some questions from the field, and I've got a little computer screen here. I can see that a couple of the questions are up on the screen right now. I got one from Nicole, and Nicole says, with all the challenges you are facing, what are you optimistic about? That's a great question, because I've just kind of explained to you some of the great successes we've had in terms of making sure that the folks that we're working with are staying healthy and physically healthy. I'm also pretty optimistic that the mental health aspect of what everybody's going through the COVID-19 can have a negative effect on the populations we serve. This is very difficult, this isolating this housing in place, this concept is very difficult for many of our clients. And so this is where the staff have been working diligently to make sure that the emotional support that our guests are getting is equal to the physical support that they're getting. And I'm optimistic about the results of that. We have not seen a significant deterioration or any deterioration of guest behavior over these last 3 months, March, April, May. We're into May, our third month of this COVID activity. So I'm very optimistic about how we've performed and how our guests have received that performance. I'm also optimistic that perhaps we're going to be turning the corner shortly. You're looking at all the federal statistics and the curve is beginning to lessen. So we're hoping that all of us, you, me, my family, our staff, our clients, will begin to see a little bit more normalcy in the next few months. So we're praying for that, but I'm very optimistic that as far as the work we do, we're going to be very successful at it, because I believe I've got the best staff in the world, and they love and enjoy what they do, and I could not be more proud. They are essential workers, and they are performing more than I could have expected. So I'm very proud of that. So I'm optimistic about where we're going from here. My next question comes from Judy McGarry. Are clients in your VOA programs able to graduate and move on, or do they have to remain in the program because of the shelter-in-place order? It's a good question. What we do in our programs is we really help move someone from homelessness, stabilize them in a program. We work on all their barrier issues, and then the whole point of it is to then have them graduate into independent living, and we're continuing to do that. I talked to you just a minute ago about the 100-bed shelter downtown Sacramento. Just this last month, we moved out of that 100-bed shelter. We moved 39 people out of the shelter into housing. So I guess you could call them graduates, like Judy's question identified, but we're moving homeless individuals coming from the streets of Sacramento into housing after a short stay in the shelter. That's continuing across all of our programs. It's hard work, but we're doing it. People are not stagnating in place. They are moving on. That's just one example of a 100-bed shelter. And when those 39 people move out of that shelter, that opens up bed space for another 39 people this month. And so when someone comes into that shelter, as an example of being COVID smart, they are sort of placed in a quarantine section of the property, and where they're there for at least 14 days, and they're separated from the general population. And after that quarantine period, they're able to move into the general population. So it works out very, very well. Protections every step of the way. Obviously, staff are properly protected and with their gear and all that, but it's worked very, very well. But Judy, yes, to your question, people are completing our programs, and we're working very hard to either place them in employment or place them into housing, and we're continuing to do that. A little tougher these days, obviously, around employment. I think I have a third question about whether or not our employment programs are working as well today as they were in months prior. Guess what? They really are. We this year we've got 2 veterans programs. There are 2 programs that are targeted to employment placing homeless people into employment. One of them is a program targeted for veterans, and it's a federal program called HVRP, Homeless Veterans Reintegration Program, HVRP. We just completed our accounting for the last 7 months of that program, and I believe we've placed 211 veterans homeless this year. 38 in the last month. Under these new circumstances where they can't necessarily in the last 2 months come into our program, come into our facility, we're able to connect with them electronically. And we can work on their resumes, we can work on their apps, we can Zoom them employer, and we're still getting those veterans employed. So employment has not been an issue for them, and they're all making $15.78 to $17.80 an hour. These are good paying jobs that we're placing these veterans in. So we're thrilled to death about the success of our employment program, particularly for the veterans. We have another employment program for the Welfare to Work program. That too has placed above our expected goal of people. Now that has slowed down a little bit because all of our referrals for the Welfare to Work program 100% come from our partners with the county, and those departments have been shut down for the last month or so. So the trickle in for that program has dwindled a little bit, but we're already exceeding our placement amounts from the expected goals for this year, and we'll continue to do so. But as people do trickle in, we are getting them employed because there are employers out there who are looking for employees, and we're making those connections. And that's the critical thing for someone to succeed, to leave homelessness, is they need stable housing and they need employment so they can sustain. We've been doing this for, we really know how to do that. We're making sure people get a good employment, and again, I can't compliment our staff, our general staff across the board. They've been amazing at this. They never give up. Volunteers America, if you do or don't know anything about Volunteers America, gosh, we're a 126-year-old organization. We've been in Sacramento for 115 years, and sometimes I feel like I've been here from the beginning. That's not the case, but I have been here a long time, and I've seen just some wonderful work occur for years, and I've been thrilled to be a part of this for so long. I guess I'm getting a question in about, can I elaborate the type of employment you've been finding for vets? And it came from Bob. Bob, we're doing a lot of work in terms of connecting vets with construction work, with office work. There isn't any one limited section. We're really not putting them into food service per se. That's a whole separate training component in Volunteers America. But for these great placements, I've got this 58-year-old veteran, just 2 weeks ago, the 58-year-old veteran who was an MP in the Air Force, been homeless for probably 15 years. He just got employed as an environmental assessment specialist. I don't know if that was the state. I'll have to double check that, but I do know that he just got this job, and that was about an $18 an hour job placement. So we're looking at the specialties that people have. People bring talents to bear. Just because you're homeless, it doesn't mean you weren't doing something before. And so oftentimes what we do, when we have somebody who sits down in front of us, we say, what was it you used to do? What is it you want to do? What are the barriers of preventing you from getting back into that job site? And so we work on those barriers, whether it's a credit issue, whether it's any number of things that otherwise prevent somebody from getting employment. That's what we target. And so we make sure those placements fit the desire and need of the individual who's looking for work. Work is the most important thing we can do for somebody. It really is the key factor in someone succeeding to leave homelessness. Absolutely. And also what we do is we also create a community of alumnus so that people, when they leave one of our programs, they somehow feel a little bit disconnected because they've developed quite an affinity for the population that they lived with, the community they lived with, their neighbors, their friends. And when they get employment, when they move, somehow that's a disconnect for them. But we make sure that we open the door for them to come back and re-engage with us so they can share their story, help the next person to experience success as well. So it's a very collaborative effort from our staff, from the client standpoint, and from those people that are successfully moving out of homelessness. And we're very, very good at this. We've been doing this a long, long time. Again, what we do is dependent on all of you. It really is important that you support us with your prayers, with your support, with your emails, with your phone calls, your gifts, your ability to connect us with other organizations to have success in what we're doing. We can't do it without you. So I'm very grateful. I'm grateful that you joined us right now, and I don't know if we'll ever do this again. We'll see how it was received. But I'd love to visit with you again in this fashion and answer questions. It's just been a blessing to be a part of this work for me for many, many decades. And we look at this as a calling. It's a mission for us to help our neighbors, to better our communities. And we've got nearly 450 employees that work these shifts, 3 shifts a day, 7 days a week. But we also have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of volunteers that help us in so many ways. Hopefully some of you volunteers out there who helped us with our Operation Backpack and our Christmas programs and our birthday parties and our family shelters. I want to thank all of you for what you do. You make a difference in this community. So together, we can really heal our community. So I want to thank you for this opportunity, and God bless you all. Thank you.